Hello there, Sev here from Three Counties Motorhomes, and welcome to this video guide on the Autocruise Energy Management System control panel. This is a legacy control panel. I believe they're not manufactured anymore, but of course they still feature in lots of pre-owned motorhomes in the market. So you're quite likely to come across a vehicle that has one of these, or maybe the vehicle you have just purchased has one. So this video is going to give you all the information you need to be able to use the typical day-to-day functions of this control panel and understand the information it provides. It's not going to go into, or this video is not going to go into more detail about troubleshooting problems or anything like that. I would strongly recommend reading any manuals or documentation supplied with your vehicle for that sort of thing. This is more of just a sort of quick start guide in video form, really. So let's get into it. So first of all, we turn on the system using the power button here, press and hold, and the panel will do a self-test before settling on the clock screen that we see here, which we can also access by pressing the clock button. And this basically just shows us the date and time. The light button here will turn on or off an entranceway light typically. Of course, that could be wired into something different on your specific vehicle, but typically on an Autocruise, that's going to be the entranceway light. And when the light is powered on, you do see a LED lit up here. Now, funnily, on this camera, this is appearing to flash, but it's actually not flashing. To the naked eye, that is a solid light as far as I see it, but on the camera it's showing it flashing. This one down here is flashing, so that is correct, but this one here is actually a solid light at the moment to show that, of course, the light is on. The next button here is volts, and if we press that, we get to see the engine and leisure battery voltages. Now up here we see a sort of lightning bolt symbol. This shows that the vehicle is plugged into mains electricity, and we also have a battery status indicator here showing us the level of the battery, and it's currently showing that it is indeed charging up, and we can see here that that is the case. Both batteries are charging at the same time here, showing nice healthy charging voltages. Next up we have amps. Actually, before I move on, if there is a voltage concern, so a low voltage issue, you'll see a light illuminate next to the voltage button. So if you see that light on, that's an alarm to let you know that you've got a low voltage on one of your batteries. On the amps one here, we get to see the flow of current either going in or out of the battery. And again, we see whether we're plugged into mains electricity or not. A positive number is typically a battery being charged or energy going into the battery, of course. And then we have a negative number being an amount of energy being drawn. So that's going to give you a good indication of how much electrical power you are using. Press the info button, and this will show you how long left you have approximately remaining with your leisure battery. Again, it shows whether or not we're plugged into mains electricity. Now, because this battery is on charge, it's calculating here that we can run indefinitely with that mains electric charger running, so we're not going to deplete the battery with the current electrical demand. However, of course, you could possibly use more electricity than the charger is putting in, although that's very difficult to do, and should you do that, that will change. This can be the case if you have a solar panel fitted with this system, because of course if you're not plugged into mains electricity but the solar panel is passively charging, should the solar panel start to provide insufficient power due to poor lighting conditions or an overcast day, then that can switch from forever to a time as well. Now, when you're not on charge, this will show you a time remaining. And then these bars here is a visual representation of the amount of battery capacity potentially remaining. This next button here is going to be the solar panel current, similar to the ammeter, but showing how much energy is being generated by the solar panel. Now, this particular vehicle does not have one fitted, as said. Again, we do have the lightning bolt for the mains electrical supply as well. Now, if you have a solar panel fitted, that will show you the amps being generated. Let it be known that this system, if the solar panel is connected through this management system, not a separate standalone regulator, then this system does try to smart manage the amount of energy in both your vehicle and leisure batteries. So just so you know, if for example your solar panel is showing a figure here, you do have one fitted and it is showing an amount here, that might not necessarily translate to what you're seeing here on the leisure battery amps, because it could be putting in some of the solar panel's current into the starter battery and the rest into the leisure battery, and so therefore you might see a discrepancy between these figures basically. Next up, we have the water pump. If we press this, it's going to turn on the water pump. Now, you can see it rapidly flashing at the same time as this one here. Basically, if your water tank runs dry, this vehicle's drained, so that's why we have a water tank alarm there. If you run the tank dry, the pump actually has run dry protection, and it will flash accordingly to show you that the pump is turned on, but it is in run dry protection mode, which is why when I turn it on now, the pump isn't running, it's immediately gone into run dry mode. As soon as water is put into the tank, that light will turn solid and will then obviously enable the pump to run. Of course, we have the water tank levels here, so we have fresh water at the top, we have 4 bars or segments that can fill up to show us that or show us what the level is in that tank. So we have an empty fresh water tank at the moment, and then the waste at the moment is okay. When it needs emptying, that will alert you as well, and I believe you also get an alert here for that too. And that is essentially the main button related functions. We're now going to get into what we can do with the settings menu. So to access the settings menu, we simply press and hold the enter button for 2 seconds and we're in, and we can then use the up or down options to go through and change different options or access different options as we go, and enter button to select. So here we go, we're in time and date, and we can set here an alarm or the time or the date, for example. So it's pretty straightforward what you need to do here, and then you'll be kicked out back to the clock screen once you've set that. The next option is going to be display, and here we can come in and we can change various options to do with the display. To get back out of a menu, just simply press the clock screen and you'll be back out. The next option is beeps. We can choose whether or not we have button beeps and warning beeps. Pretty simple there. And then the next option is going to be reset amp hours. Now, if you have new batteries fitted, or you're finding the information being shown by the control panel is incorrect for the amount of energy you have in your batteries, you can recalibrate the system. So you first of all need to make sure that your batteries are fully charged, and then you press enter on this option, and you basically then press the right arrow here to reset the ammeters, and then that will recalibrate the system, and then just simply press enter and that will confirm all that as saved. And then we go to emergency start. Now this is a feature that allows us to hopefully start the vehicle when we have a flat vehicle battery. So we come into here, we press emergency start, and then you're going to choose yes or no. Now if you choose no on this button here, yes is that button there. I'm going to choose no because I don't want to do it now, but basically when you choose yes, the system then starts to prepare for the start. It will tell you to wait, and then it will prompt you when to attempt to start the vehicle battery, and you can give it a go. However, this does not work when your leisure battery is flat. It uses some of the auxiliary power in order to get the vehicle started. It will also not really work with a flat, or excessively flat, should I say, vehicle battery. So if the vehicle battery really is absolutely dead as a dodo, then it's really not going to help. It's just when you've got a vehicle battery that's just gone low enough to fail to start the engine, and the auxiliary battery should hopefully have enough juice to help get you going. It's also worth noting that the large, typically 50 amp fuse that is part of this system may pop when you're trying to use the emergency start feature. So do bear in mind, and it will absolutely pop if you do not let it do its startup once you have selected emergency start. Once you've chosen yes here, if you immediately try and start the engine before waiting for it to tell you to, then you'll definitely pop the fuse, so do bear that in mind. So other than the emergency start, the next thing we have is going to be battery select. And on some models, you're able to choose which battery is selected. Now this enables you to basically switch so that you can power the motorhome from the vehicle battery if needed. It's typically not really that often needed, which is why it's an advanced feature in here. But this particular motorhome does not have that feature supported, so you can see it says feature disabled there. But that's what that will do, and I believe that's it for the options right there, as you can see. Yep, that was the last one. So yeah, that pretty much covers it. So we've gone through the buttons and what they do, we've gone through this settings menu and how to use that, and that is basically it for your Autocruise Energy Management System. I hope you found this video useful and informative. I'm Sev, and thank you very much for watching.